Thanks for joining us for another episode of Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, here at the News Forum, where all voices matter. Today, we're going to delve into drones, the drone industry, and drone warfare. With the Russian invasion of Ukraine, as well as China's activities and the situation in the Middle East, drones are coming into their own. Here to help us understand is Bradley Bowen. He is a director at the Center on Military and Political Power at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies in Washington, D.C. Welcome to Boom and Bust.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to join you.
So I guess my first question is, what are the latest developments generally with drones that you've been tracking?
Thank you. Drones have been in the inventories of leading militaries for quite some time. I remember flying my Black Hawk helicopter as a U.S. Army officer in the late 90s and having a drone behind me in the traffic pattern. So they're not new, but there's constant innovation and they're becoming more and more prevalent. We obviously started to arm drones years ago, and now we're seeing smaller and smaller drones. And you're also going to, over time, see the integration of unmanned aerial systems or drones with artificial intelligence. And we see a lot of our adversaries, potential adversaries, moving in that direction, where you may not even have human beings in the loop, if you will, making decisions. So the programming's there for this armed drone. It's out looking for a particular target, and then will actually attack that target with no human being making the final decision and pushing the big red button.
And I guess just give our viewers a sense, how big is this industry? Who are the drone leaders?
There's, I obviously focus on U.S. defense policy strategy industry, and there's a number of companies, General Atomics and others, that make drones. But you were not alone. I mean, you have in the Ukraine conflict that all of us are watching, you have the TB2 drone, for example. This is a Turkish-made drone that has been provided to Ukrainian forces that's been quite effective. So to your viewers, some of these would look like to the eye as like a small Cessna aircraft. They're that big and actually require runways to take off the land. And some of them, like the Switchblade drone, which is an American-made drone, you can actually put in a backpack and it'll launch it. Just one person can launch it. It'll go hover over a target for a while and then actually conduct a kamikaze strike. Those are called loitering munitions. So they really come in all range, all different sizes, different capabilities, different areas of focus. They're becoming more prevalent, not less. And when you combine that with a desire to close what's called the kill chain, the time between detecting a threat, deciding what to do, and delivering the desired effect and munition, he who arrives with the most drones, who can act the quickest, will often have the advantage on the battlefield.
Is there one country who's deploying drones more than other countries, or is this a general trend throughout all the militaries?
It's a great question. So you have countries that produce them, right? And then a lot of countries will export them. And this is something the United States has been concerned about, the international export market for drones, because we don't want these capabilities falling into the wrong hands. But unfortunately, in some ways, that horse has left the barn, if you will. So the U.S. is obviously a leading producer. I mentioned Turkey earlier. Russia produces drones, Turkey produces drones, and China is obviously producing drones. So really, in any future great power conflict, military planners on both sides of that conflict will have to assume that their adversaries will be wielding all types of drones, that they'll be armed, potentially powered by artificial intelligence, and they could be coming in swarms. I'm talking about not a few, dozens or hundreds. And so we really are beginning to live through the early stages of what would feel like a sci-fi movie.
Yes. Is it radically altering military doctrine at this point, Brad?
It's a great question. We need a lot more time than we have to go through that. But I'd say, generally speaking, again, from an American perspective, forgive me, we've often assumed for decades that we own the skies. And that's why, because we were fighting Iraq and Afghanistan, we had air superiority. We really haven't, as Americans, we haven't had to worry about threats from the skies, more or less since the Korean War. That's all changing now as we're looking at China, particularly China. We can no longer safely assume that we will own the skies. And a large reason for that are these drone capabilities that we're talking about.
Absolutely, and obviously this is a huge impact on current conflicts. We're going to talk about that a little bit after the break. I do want to drill down into obviously the Russian invasion of Ukraine and how that's affecting the military and drone technology. We'll leave that, because it is an important discussion, until after the break. Please stay with us. We'll be back after these few words.